Multiversus is a game that breaks my heart in a million different ways, while also being a game that I've nearly put 1,000 hours into. Most of the video content I've seen surrounding Multiversus are mainly focusing on the game's downfalls, everything they did wrong to lead them to where they are now, hammering their aggressive monetization methods, strange character unlocks, and lack of major content. It's hard to not look at this game and see everything that could have gone in a completely different direction. Regardless of that, I wanted to take a moment to talk about one of my favorite games, and remember what it was that made it so special for me to begin with. I just needed a location to gush for a little bit, as the game is scheduled to be shut down this upcoming May, removing all the online features, making the game only work for local multiplayer. No more content updates, and ultimately looking like the end of Multiversus as a whole. How does a game with this much IP and potential fall into obscurity? Making videos is how I deal with a lot of media consumption, and I couldn't not make a video about Multiversus. This is my method of grieving. But before I get into it, let me know in the comment section below, what did you think of Multiversus? Is this a game you played, maybe saw it at a glance in a video or a stream or something? And while you're down there, please be sure to hit that like button. So Multiversus came out at a time when I needed it the most. So I'm someone who was super into the competitive Super Smash Bros. Scene growing up. I would attend tournaments and really looked into the metagame as a spectator. While I love Super Smash Bros. And ultimately think it is the better game and the better experience, I mean, come on, how is this comparison even fair? There are a handful of things that Multiversus did that were better than Smash, and mainly what kept me coming back to the game. For starters, the game was built with 2v2 in mind. The first real 2v2 game I got sucked into was PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, another platform fighter that uses a large sum of IP as its major selling point, but a big part of that was the ability to party up, meaning you could team up with a friend and take on other players across the globe. In Smash Bros, you're only able to go online and choose from very specific rule sets. If you wanted to create your own doubles rules, you'd have to make your own private lobby. There's no way for you to join up with a friend and face others online without being in the same room. Also, team attack is something that's off by default in the normal online matches, meaning you'll be dealing with a lot of projectile spam in your games. Not only that, but the online experience for Multiversus actually works really well. I mean, we all know Nintendo's online experience leaves a lot to be desired, and lag is not something you want to deal with in your fighting game. The online was consistent for the most part, and finding games wasn't a hassle. There was something really special about jumping in a team with a friend and working off of each other to collect some kills. The moment when your synergy is all lined up, it's so grand. There's also not nearly as much pressure when playing in 2v2s. During 1v1 matches, all of the responsibility is on you to collect the victory. In 2v2s, the pressure is balanced a bit more, making for a less stressful experience. Even though it was a fighting game, we were more so focused on having fun and winning together. Multiversus also had an actual ranked mode that was separate from the regular mode. In Smash, you really only had Elite Smash to work up, and there was no separate game mode whenever I wanted to just chill out for some casual games. Booting up Elite Smash in 2025 is a world of pain. If you wanted to play your main that you put time into grinding, you'll be fighting MK Leo the moment you get online. Multiversus ranked worked out because I always felt like I was in my skill range, just like every other competitive fighting game out there with a real ranked mode. Overall, the online experience was just leagues better than what Smash could produce. Of course, a big part of the appeal of these crossover games is the roster. In the case of Multiversus, our characters are based from a variety of different Warner Brothers movies and shows, from Looney Tunes, Adventure Time, DC Comics, Iron Giant, Beetlejuice, and so much more. A real standout to me has got to be Steven Universe. As someone who absolutely adores the show, to see Steven Universe show up in a Smash Bros. Clone, insane. This is the closest we'll get to Steven actually showing up in a Smash game, so I'll take it. He can bubble his teammates to get them out of a tough situation, really cool. Then there's LeBron James. Based on his Space Jam appearance, this might be one of my favorite designed characters, being able to juggle multiple projectiles at once and work around them for setups. It's impressive all the different options this character has in his kit. Plus, it's freaking LeBron James. Like, someone could really hate this man just because of how he plays in Multiversus. Imagine trying to explain that to a sports fan. Jason Voorhees is my favorite tank character. I love how satisfying all of his attacks are, the sound design around his machete, and all the horror tropes tied right in. I remember seeing his debut trailer and knowing I was gonna have a great time when he was added into the game. Plus, it's so out there, this man is a murderer by every meaning of the word. Let's put him on the same team as the Gremlins. Then of course, there's Batman. So I've always been a slight fan of Batman throughout my life. I've seen a couple of his movies, maybe caught a couple of episodes of his TV show, but for the most part, I've kept it pretty casual with how I feel about Batman. Anyone who has ever played a fighting game before knows the process of choosing a main. Selecting a fighting game main is a spiritual experience that happens between the player and the game. You might try other characters here and there, but your main is the one you always go back to. The one that feels the most comfortable in your hands and brings out the best in your gameplay. This game right here really makes you feel like Batman.
It's not who we are underneath. It's what we do that defines us. I am darkness. I am the night. I am Batman. Don't get cocky. Hope you're doing all right. I admire someone who channels their vengeance productively. Have I ever told you about the time the Joker threw me a birthday party? I exterminate pests like you all the time. Harley, do we really need to do this again?
There's all these insane things I can do with the bat bomb, tagging it on opponents and waiting for it to go off, then using the Pythagorean theorem to calculate the exact angle I need to beat your. Then Batman has like a million different spike moves in his set, and as a Mario main in Smash, I'm a big fan of sending my opponent straight into Lazarus Pit. Batman has felt like a match made in heaven. With this character, I knew I was going to enjoy this game for the next several years to come. It was great. Oh yeah! So Multiversus will be shutting down in May, removing all of the game's online components. Mind you, this is the second time they have done this, as they did shut down the game the first time as it was in a beta, disconnecting the game so they could work on it and release something better down the line. First off, you were able to spend money on the game during the beta. In my opinion, the moment you're able to throw cash at a game, it's no longer a beta. Heck, I was grabbing every battle pass as they released, sliding them my credit card and such. If a beta is able to accept some form of payment, I'm treating it like an official release. Regardless, the beta ended up being unplugged for about a year, making it so you had nothing to play while they cooked in the background. Then almost a full year has gone by, but Multiversus is finally back. It was finally time for them to rebuild their reputation after being gone for so long. This is when Multiversus reached the point of no return. For a game to come back from a hiatus and being in a worse position than when it was when it left, horrible messaging. Many were commenting on the speed of the game being much slower, showing side-by-side footage of the beta and the new version and how the beta moves so much quicker. And to me, there's really no coming back from this. This was the moment when the game was supposed to pop out with new content and features, really establish Multiversus back to the world. Only for the consensus around this new version is that it's worse than ever before. You weren't able to check your post-game stats, there was no way to invite players you teamed up with online anymore. Iron Giant was such a problem in balancing that they had to completely remove him from the game for a while. It was a mess. I knew it was only a matter of time before they decided to kill the game again. It gets even worse when you look at the content after the comeback, because each patch made the game better and faster. The inclusion of new characters like the Powerpuff Girls were a real treat. How they handled controlling 3 different characters at once was impressive. I sometimes still can't understand what the hitbox is for them most of the time. And Marceline was a fan favorite, one of the most requested characters in the game, being a front runner in online conversations since the early stages of the beta. The pace of the game was finally reaching what it wanted to be, but it was a little too late. At the end of the day, maintaining content for a live service game is a tall order. You'll need a consistent stream of content to keep players invested. But Multiversus never really got that. Outside of a handful of new characters and new stages, we got a few new side modes that weren't really all that fun to begin with. And eventually, it was announced that the game would be shutting down in May, being a major surprise to basically no one. The game will be set to offline only once the final patch is added. And I think that's the biggest heartbreaker about this whole thing, is that all that work for this game is going to be trapped on each console. I am still hoping that eventually they do a full release of the game, where you can buy all of the characters and all the stages and it has online support. I'd be down to pay for a full version of the game that isn't live service. Just something that I can keep playing as the years go by. One of the coolest things about this game is all the voice actors involved, as the game worked off of these different characters and gave them unique interactions, which is something I wish they did more of, considering Warner Brothers is one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world. You'd think they would have done like a 6-story mode with all of these characters, akin to something like Subspace Emissary, where we get fully animated cutscenes of these characters working off of each other. I would pay a premium to see something like that exist. But for now, it's looking like the end of the line for Multiversus. There's a void in my heart that this platform fighter is left. While the game will have an offline version, let's be so serious, like who is actually playing that? If I have a friend over and I mention that I want to play some Multiversus, they're gonna hit me with one of these looks and tell me to stop playing and boot up some Smash Bros. Of course, there will always be a small pocket of people who are dedicated to the game, hosting their own private online experiences, but this feels like the real end of the road for most. I remember the first time the beta got disconnected, I would sometimes boot up the offline version just to mess around in the training mode, just hit around Shaggy a few times just so I can jump in the game again. I want to thank Multiversus for the hours of fun. It's going to be weird when you're gone again, and I hope this isn't goodbye. I really do hope we meet again. Wait, does this mean I have to go back to Smash Bros? Oh god. Multiversus shutting down also shows us how hard it is to break into the platform fighting genre. Even with all these IPs, Warner could not keep this game up and running. The only other company that I could think of to do something like this would be Disney. Can you imagine a fighting game with a roster of characters like Mickey Mouse, Iron Man, Darth Vader, Kermit? I would also have another game to beg Disney to put Sora in, please and thank you. On the bright side, while Multiversus is being shut down, Warner is slowly adding more of their characters into Fortnite. I imagine they held off on doing this to try and bring more attention to Multiversus. Well, that worked out so well. I mean, a soul for a soul? I can accept this new reality.
Match point for red team. Point for blue team. Match point for blue team. Not this time. Can't use the ball yet. Justice will come through.
That's so funny.
Match point for blue team.
Get out of here with that bad gas.
Success.
파란팀 점수 가졌어요. 빨간팀 점수 가졌어요.
Hope dark side never hears about you. Match point for blue team.
When I'm done with you.
Success. Stay sharp. Out of that. Match point for blue team.
가슴 맺히지